Let me be blunt. Most men are playing a game they don't understand. And women, we're not giving you the real rule book. But here's what I respect about you. You're here looking for answers, not excuses. That already puts you ahead. See, attraction isn't random. There's a pattern to why some men create intense connection while others get overlooked. It's not about being perfect. It's about understanding what actually triggers desire. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm going to show you exactly what happens in her mind when things shift. No sugarcoating, just truth. Let's dive in. The first thing you need to understand is something most men completely overlook, and it has to do with physical presence. Here's the reality. A woman can resist your words all day, but the right touch? That's a different story. There's actual science behind this. Physical touch releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It creates trust, comfort, and yes, desire on a biological level. We're not talking about being inappropriate. We're talking about understanding that humans are wired to respond to touch in ways that bypass rational thinking. When a confident man lightly touches her lower back as he guides her through a door, or brushes her hand during conversation, something shifts in her nervous system. It's subtle, it's respectful, but it's powerful. She might tell herself she's not interested, but her body is already responding. This isn't about tricks. It's understanding that attraction isn't just mental. It's physical, emotional, chemical. Now here's the key that separates confident men from desperate ones. The right approach isn't constant touch, it's strategic restraint. A light touch on her wrist when making a point, then pulling back, creating space, then reconnecting. This builds anticipation. She starts wanting that connection. But here's what matters most. This only works when it comes from genuine confidence and respect, not from a place of trying to control her response. Touch with intention, not desperation. That's the difference. The second psychological trigger is something that might sting a little, but you need to hear it. Women want what they can't easily have. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. The more unavailable something is, the more people desire it. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding basic human psychology. When you're always available, always responding immediately, always rearranging your life around her, you become predictable. And predictability, while safe, doesn't create attraction. Think about it. She ignores the guy who showers her with attention. But the guy who has his own life, his own priorities, who isn't always available, suddenly she's intrigued. She starts wondering, what's he doing? Who's he with? Why isn't he texting back? This isn't about ignoring her or being cold. It's about having a genuinely full life that doesn't revolve around her attention. So what does this mean practically? It means you stop dropping everything the second she reaches out. You have your gym time, your work projects, your friendships. When you do give her your attention, it's valuable because it's not guaranteed. Here's what shifts. When she feels like she might lose your attention, she starts working to keep it. Not because you're doing anything to her, but because you've demonstrated that your time has genuine value. And that's incredibly attractive. If this is starting to make sense, hit that like button and drop a comment below with your thoughts. And subscribe to Psychology for Life. We're just getting started. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. The third trigger is something most men get completely wrong. They think women want stability and predictability. And for long-term relationships? Sure. But in the attraction phase, that's not what hooks her. Neuroscience shows that dopamine spikes during emotional highs and lows. It's why people become fascinated by roller coasters, gambling, or yes, unpredictable romantic partners. When emotions fluctuate between excitement and uncertainty, her brain creates a powerful attachment to that experience. The men who keep women most engaged? They make her laugh one moment and challenge her thinking the next. They're warm and present. Then they pull back to focus on their own goals. Not out of cruelty, out of genuine investment in their own lives. Look, I'm not telling you to be emotionally unavailable. I'm saying, don't be so predictable that she stops wondering about you. Keep some mystery. Keep your own life interesting. Be fully present when you're with her, but don't make your entire emotional state dependent on her. Have passions. Have goals. Have moments where you're so absorbed in your own mission that she's not your sole focus. When you do this, something beautiful happens. She starts pursuing your attention instead of taking it for granted. And that shift, that changes everything. Now, the fourth psychological factor, and this is something that affects her on a level she can't even explain, it's the way you speak. Research from the University of Aberdeen found that women are naturally more attracted to men with deeper, slower voices. Why? Because our brains associate vocal depth with confidence, authority, and strength. It's primal, it's subconscious, and it's powerful. But it's not just about pitch, it's about control. Men who speak too fast sound nervous, too slow, uncertain. But when you speak with deliberate pacing, with strategic pauses, you command attention. Think about powerful speakers or compelling conversations. They don't rush, they don't fill every silence, they speak like every word has weight. And women respond to that certainty. Practice this. Before answering a question, pause for just a second. Let the silence sit. It creates anticipation. It shows you're not desperate to fill the void. You're comfortable in your own presence. This isn't about being calculating. It's about developing genuine confidence in how you communicate. When you speak with intention rather than anxiety, everything changes. In dating, in business, in life. The fifth psychological reality, and here's something women rarely admit, but is absolutely true. Seeing other women interested in you makes you more attractive to her. It's called social proof, and it's evolutionary psychology at work. Women are wired to want high-value men. And how do we determine value? By seeing who else values you. It's why celebrities, athletes, and successful men never struggle with attraction. They're clearly in demand. When you're completely focused on one woman, making her your entire world, her subconscious reads that as, no one else wants him. But when she sees you're admired, respected, when other women light up around you, suddenly you become more desirable. This doesn't mean you should be unfaithful or disrespectful. It means you should be genuinely valuable, someone with options who chooses to be with her because she's special, not because she's your only option. So how do you do this? Build a life where you're genuinely respected. Have strong friendships. Be someone people enjoy being around. Excel at your work. When you walk into a room and people gravitate towards you, not because you're trying, but because you're genuinely magnetic, she notices. And the beautiful part, you're not faking value. You're building real worth. That confidence is authentic. And that's what truly attracts the right woman. The sixth trigger is critical. And most men make one fatal mistake here. They rush. They confess feelings too soon, push for commitment before attraction fully develops, and eliminate all mystery. And nothing ends attraction faster. Think about your favorite movie. What makes it exciting? The build-up, the tension, the waiting. That's exactly what women crave in attraction. She needs time to wonder, to question, to imagine. The men women become drawn to, they flirt, they tease, they hold back just enough. They create a dynamic where she feels like she's earning attention rather than just receiving it automatically. This isn't about withholding affection cruelly. It's about letting attraction build naturally. When you don't rush, when you take your time building tension, whether in conversation, touch, or the relationship pace, you activate her deepest desire, wanting something she can't fully have yet. Practice restraint. When you want to text her saying you miss her, wait. When you want to define the relationship, let it develop organically. When you feel that urge to lock things down, pause. This isn't game playing. It's understanding that the best things develop with time. And when you're patient, when you're not desperate to capture her, she becomes more drawn to capturing you. The power shifts, and that shift is everything. Now here's the seventh psychological trigger. And it's about more than just who you are in her presence. It's about who you are in her mind when you're not around. Attraction isn't just about reality. It's about the story men create in women's imagination. Why do women become so fascinated by celebrities? Not because they know them, but because they've built an entire fantasy around them. And you can trigger the same psychological effect. Here's what most men get wrong. They over-explain everything. They answer every question directly. They reveal every thought. They think transparency builds attraction. But the truth? Women are wired to chase what they don't fully understand. When you keep a little mystery, when you're slightly unpredictable, when you don't let her figure you out completely, she keeps thinking about you. So share your life, but not every detail. Be present, but maintain your own world. Let her discover you gradually rather than dumping your entire life story in the first conversation. When you do this, you become the man she can't stop thinking about. Not because you're doing anything to her, but because you've left space for her imagination to fill in the gaps. And what she imagines, that's often more powerful than anything you could tell her. The eighth psychological reality is something women might say they don't want, but deep down, biology tells a different story. Women crave leadership, not a dictator, not a controller, but a man who makes decisions with confidence. This isn't about dominance in a harmful way. It's about masculine energy that provides direction. When you're always asking, "What do you want to do?" or constantly seeking her approval, she loses respect. Not because she's cruel, but because indecision signals weakness. The men women respect? They say, "Let's do this," instead of, "What do you think we should do?" They make plans. They lead. They're comfortable taking charge of the moment. And here's what's important. This doesn't mean ignoring her preferences. It means being confident enough to make a decision while still being flexible enough to adjust if needed. It's leadership, not control. Start small. Make decisions about where to eat, what to do on a date, how to spend an evening. Stop constantly deferring to her. Have a plan. Have a vision. When you lead with quiet confidence, something shifts in how she sees you. She relaxes. She trusts. She follows. Because deep down, she wants to feel like she's with a man who knows where he's going, in life and in the moment. The ninth trigger is a hard truth. Women might say they want a nice, stable, drama-free relationship. But if you don't make her feel something intense, she won't stick around. Women don't fall in love through logic. They fall through emotion, excitement, passion, even a little uncertainty. The men who keep women emotionally engaged, they create a range of positive emotions: laughter, surprise, challenge, depth, the predictable, always safe guy. She appreciates him but doesn't feel drawn to him. But the man who makes her laugh uncontrollably one minute, challenges her thinking the next, surprises her with spontaneity, she becomes deeply drawn to him. This isn't about being unstable or harmful. It's about having emotional depth, being multidimensional, not being so predictable that she can map out every interaction before it happens. Be playful. Be serious when it matters. Share your passions. Challenge her ideas respectfully. Don't be afraid to disagree. Show vulnerability at times, strength at others. When you become emotionally dynamic, not erratic, but genuinely multifaceted, you keep her engaged. Her heart follows where her emotions lead. And when you understand how to guide those emotions through genuine connection and depth, she can't help but be drawn to you. And finally, the 10th psychological trigger. Despite all the talk about independence, most women still crave one thing deeply: a man who makes them feel protected. This isn't about possessiveness or control. It's about creating a space where she can fully embrace her softer side, where she doesn't have to be strong, decisive, or in charge all the time, where she can let her guard down and just be. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence, when you handle challenges without falling apart, when you lead without being domineering, something happens. She feels safe enough to be soft, to be vulnerable, to surrender to the connection. A woman can only fall into her feminine nature when she's with a man masculine enough to hold space for it. If you're nervous, apologetic, or constantly seeking her approval, she can't relax into her softness because she's busy trying to provide the strength you're not offering. Know your worth, set clear boundaries, be protective of your peace and hers, handle pressure with calm, make her feel like no matter what chaos exists in the world, when she's with you, she's safe. When you embody this kind of presence, not through force but through genuine groundedness, she melts. And here's the beautiful part: she won't even fully understand why. She'll just know that being with you feels different, feels right, feels like home. So there you have it. 10 psychological triggers that most men never understand. But here's what I want you to remember. None of this is about tricks or games. It's about understanding human psychology so you can show up as the best version of yourself. A woman worth having doesn't want manipulation. She wants a man who understands her on a deeper level while maintaining his own strength and purpose. These principles work because they're rooted in respect for her, but most importantly, for yourself. When you honor your own worth, set healthy boundaries, and build a life you're proud of, attraction becomes natural. You're not chasing, you're not begging. You're simply being the kind of man women can't help but notice. If this video opened your eyes, do me a favor, subscribe to Psychology for Life, hit that notification bell, and share this with one friend who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below telling me which point hit you hardest. I read every single one. Remember, you're not here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to build it. And when you do, the right woman will see it without you saying a word. I'm rooting for you. Now go out there and become the man you're capable of being.